Grateful you could stay on. I am Pious Kojo Backah. A look now at our stories. With the exemption of pensions from the debt exchange program, the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry is asking government to rationalize this expenditure to make up for the 5% shortfall of the program. This advice follows an MOU signed between government through the Ministries of Employment and Labour Relations, Finance and Organized Labour that pension funds would not be touched in the debt exchange program after fierce opposition from labour unions. Reacting to the development, President of the Chamber, Clement Sayamwaku, said government can still do more by cutting down expenditure and review its policy programs like the free SHS to save some costs to service its debts.
Other side that we have to look at is that the gap created. How can government finance it, since it's part of the agreement and the policies that are put in place to be able to sustain our debt and allow IMF also to look into us and do a lot of businesses. I'm grateful for the government listening and taking that out of it. But we are looking at a situation where the government will have to come in and also contribute much to that, because we have been saying that so far the government's commitment to this debt restructuring have not been so encouraging. Over the years, and when we met, we have discussed that the ministerial numbers must be reduced, because the assumptions that they created to have those ministries might not be the same now, because we don't have the money to even allocate some funds to some ministries. And so either putting some together and eliminating some ministries for us in this hard time to be able to see our way through until we get back to our feet is something the government will have to look. Other waste areas where we also think that we can work on it, we expect the government to look at it. One other place that we have to look at, that the free education program is very important to Ghanaians. But I want to say that if other people want to pay the fees and have the money, they should be allowed to pay. The whole thing can be modified to look at people who really need and people who can pay. I feel that we can make some savings there.
You're still watching Business Life with me, Pious Kojo Backah. We have to continue with the rest of our stories. An economist, Professor Lord Mensah, is downplaying fears of economic shocks following the exemption of pension funds from debt exchange program. It follows finance minister's warning that exempting the fund from the program will come with some cost to the economy. But Professor Mensah strongly disagrees with that warning. He has been speaking on PM Express Business Edition.
Reduction of debt does not necessarily mean that you should reduce it, drastically. You can spread it over years. Debt restructuring does not mean that you should hit a certain target within 5 years or within 6 years. Now, if you look at the structures that were provided by the finance minister, next year, 0% interest payment. Why should next year be 0% interest payment? We can find a way to build up the interest, come up with the interest a bit. The following year, 5%. Why should it be 5%? So in a way, government can, come in. That is why I made a statement earlier that what is the government exchanging for this, debt exchange?
Yeah.
What the government can exchange for this exchange is the sacrifice of some budget lines and then making room for the losses they're making now on the interest payment or the interest savings they want to make on pensions. So effectively, if you take, for instance, I mentioned capital expenditure earlier. Capital expenditure, we can sacrifice. These are discretionary expenditures. Goods and services, these are also, we have control over it. Other expenditure, we have control over all these expenditure lines, which we can make room to fill in the losses that we're going to make from the interest savings we could have made from, these pensions and, individual investments.
So it's a no-no for you when the argument is made that, listen, if we are freeing these things or exempting these things, pension funds and individuals, it will come at a cost to us.
Oh, it won't be that much of a cost. It's about prioritizing your expenditure lines and then realigning what was presented in Parliament.
A while longer on the debt exchange program, and an associate professor of finance at Andrews University in the USA, Williams Ripper, has stated that Ghana is likely to visit another debt exchange program in the next 2 years. This, is said, is as a result of the approach the finance minister is using in this current debt restructuring program, which is decisive debt restructuring. He was speaking on the marketplace.
It's good that probably Labour Union, they have won their case to get the pension funds excluded. As the finance minister has indicated, it may come with some costs, and indeed, yes. If I look at the approach that was adopted by the finance minister in the debt restructuring policies, he wanted to achieve what is termed as decisive debt restructuring. That is, making sure that straight away Ghana get to a point where we are at 55% of debt GDP, then 18% of total revenue in terms of payment to external debt. Excluding the pension funds mean that this will not be able, we cannot achieve this strategy. So Ghana will move into what is termed as interim debt restructuring. The cost implication is that in the next 2 years, there is a high probability or likelihood that Ghana will visit another debt restructuring program again because of the lack of space which has not been able to attain from this particular process. The other implication in terms of cost is that Labour Union, they have won their case. Are we also going to see agitation from other bodies which may compel government to also listen to them and give in like this? So these are the measures and the challenges that government seems to face at this particular point.
Let's now touch on the cedi. And former Trade and Industry Minister Pious Kojo Backah has called for the creation of a price and income board to help stabilize prices of goods and as well as services as the cedi makes gains. Speaking to Joy Business at the funeral of Ghana's longest-serving finance minister, Kwesi Boche, Dr. Kojo Backah criticized the Bank of Ghana over the unstable exchange rate regime. He said the central bank should come clean with the current happenings in the market.
The former Trade and Industry Minister at the late Professor Kwesi Boche's funeral bemoaned the consistent increase in public debt. He said authorities should act devoid of political affiliations.
You ask anybody who is trading in the financial markets, the truth is that the cedi, the real value of the cedi is how much it costs you to buy $1. And so the artificial differences that we are hearing, that you can get $1 for 8 cedis, 9 cedis, is not possible. If you talk to people really changing money, it's more like bring 12 cedis, I'll give you $1. 12.50, I'll give you $1. So that is where the dollar's value really is, and therefore the cedi's own value too. So we should stop playing games and gymnastics with each other. People's lives are at stake. People are dying in hospitals because of their inability to pay their hospital bills. And all of us who are going to the marketplaces, our families and wives, our children, are struggling to buy food at normal prices. Almost all things the prices have increased exponentially. And there are countries which have stabilized their prices. So we used to have a price and incomes board or another kinds of price control institutions, both for rentals, and for prices. And I think it's time to bring back some of those institutions and learn what worked well with those institutions that are supposed to control or influence prices, and those what did not work so well. So we don't go and reinvent the wheel and bring back the bad aspects of those things. But
he, however, eulogized the late Kwesi Boche, describing him as a public servant who fought for financial freedom.
I met Professor Boche at the University of Ghana campus when I was a student, and he was already a lecturer, so he was my senior by far. But we gained our friendship through our commitment to what we'll call left-of-center ideology, socialist thinking. And so he groomed some of us who were socialist-minded and who were also in Nkrumahs, because I was a young pioneer, to also follow in that thinking. So when he became a minister for finance, and I was working in the international world, first with the World Bank and then the African Development Bank, we also had some interactions. And of course, when I became ambassador to the United States, he was still Minister of Finance. We are sad to see him go. He was a very eminent, very prudent, at a time when Ghana is facing financial crisis. People like him are the ones that built the economy of Ghana over 15 years. And it's a shame that any other group of people should come and decimate, big word, actually kill and spoil whatever Dr. Botwe and the PNDC/NDC governments built.
Professor Kwesi Boakye was a member and chairman of the IMF's group of independent experts who conducted the first ever external evaluation of the Enhanced Structure Adjustment Facility.
Move on to some other stories. And the celebration of Christmas always comes with some expenditure and a business boom for the hospitality and tourism industry. As many corporate institutions break for holidays, we explore the spending pattern of patrons and how these facilities managers hope to cash in for the season. To help us delve into the matter is the president of the Ghana Hoteliers Association, Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr., who is among us one of the managers to cash in during the season, and he joins me via phone for more. Grateful, Mr. Edward Akanyamike Jr. How are preparations going ahead of this festive season?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. A lot. As some would say, this is more like a cuckoo season for the industry, especially the hotels as well. And the operators are leaving those to London to ensure that they cash in. But this particular season, this particular 2022, seems to bring in a number of factors which is contributing to some form of high patronage at the hotels. Remember that the Beyond the Return is on, and under that program we have the December in GH, which the Ministry and the Ghana Tourism Authority has really promoted, and is attracting a lot of visitors from outside and within the country as well. And then remember also that the President launched the Destination Ghana recently in the UK, which in itself has also put Ghana on the map. Then he also launched the domestic tourism promotion, and the various trade associations under tourism, like the tour operators, the car rentals, the tour guide, they are all taking advantage of it and bringing out very interesting packages for the locals to also enjoy their season. And then the hotels are also doing aggressive marketing. They are really marketing a lot, coming out with interesting packages, which is also attracting people. And if you link it to COVID-19, remember that after the COVID-19, this is the first Christmas that is truly free, if I should put it that way, of COVID-19. Last year's was not very clear because of the Omicron virus, which was trying to create a few challenges. But this time, it will seem that the system is quite free of COVID-19, even though we would still want to advise people who may want to put on some of these nose masks when I'm going to gathering for various reasons. But this is more like the first Yuletide, which is quite free of the virus, and people want to take advantage of it. And various events and programs are taking place at hotels. I belong to the 84-year group of St. Augustine's College, APSU 84, and we'll be having our end-of-year get-together at Airport View Hotel on the 30th. All of these events and programs together give the hotels a high patronage during this period. However, let me quickly chip in that the challenge has been the high cost of operation. Okay, so we are having the high patronage, but then our profits will be erased by the high cost of operation, which has affected every aspect of our work. So indeed, hoteliers are really going to sacrifice a lot of their profit to ensure that they put smiles on the faces of their patrons or their customers.
I'm very okay. Go finish up.
Well, just to keep the business going. That's what I was.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in the cost of operation bid. The cedi has shown some stability the past few weeks now, and there is also a decrease in fuel prices, translating into transport fares as well. Going down as we see goods and services also. Now, should we expect a reduction in the prices of your side?
I will be surprised if there's any data to suggest that a lot of the hotels increase their rates. I'll be very surprised because I do know that a lot of hotels did not touch their rack rates. They did not touch the cost of their services. Or unless, of course, when it comes to the food and beverages, which is more events or conference linked. Okay, but a lot of the hotels had to deal with the high cost of operations to cushion the customers. Okay, so I can say on authority that a lot of the hotels did not. And mind you also that even though the cedi is appreciating and fuel has gone down a bit, it is yet to translate into a reduction in the cost of goods and services as we speak now. The projections has been made that probably it will be after the Unitide or early next year that we'll begin to see the real reduction. Okay. So we are still struggling under high cost of operation, but it did not really change our rates. If anything at all, then the food and beverage aspect, which were adjusted a bit because of the high cost of food and other things, that's what may come down a bit. But by and large, our services did not really change.
So how are your members working to sustain the interests of the public during these challenging times?
Let me put it this way by way of pointing out a few things to the hotels, because in a period like this, certainly a lot of them, and here the good thing is that some of these patrons cut across the country because people are also traveling outside the cities to their villages, and some will be residing in hotels. So we know that our hotels are also putting out their alert in terms of security. That's one thing that we want them to really put on high alert. We've been meeting the national security on these issues. A lot of tips have been given to us, which we have shared with our members. And then I also want to caution the hotels that the GRA has targeted the hospitality industry, including hotels, with regards to tax obligations and tax payments. So we all need to be on alert to fulfill all our tax obligations. And I also know that the hotels are doing everything to raise the quality of their services, including customer services. This is something that is basic to hotels. Certainly, there may be a few mistakes here and there, but we should ensure that our positives with regards to the services we provide far outweigh the small negatives that come our way. And I would want to urge, if you can permit, I want to urge hotels to also find a way to appreciate their staff during this period. The season of love, let us also extend that love to our staff. Let's give them some bonuses, find a way, even though our profit margins are reduced, let's find a way to appreciate them through small bonuses so that it will motivate them going into 2023.
Talking about extension of love, on an average, how much should an individual budget to enjoy the perks of this season, you would say?
That's a very interesting question because the field is very wide, the range is very wide. But I always say that, you see, there's hotel accommodation for every pocket in Ghana. It depends on the level you want to place yourself. If you want to go to the 5-star hotel, then you know that you are going to pay for a 5-star service.
All right.
If you can also budget for a budget hotel, you'll be paying for a budget service. And the important thing for me is the cleanness and the availability of all the services that is required by the Ghana Tourism Authority, period.
All right.
Okay, because you can have certain budget 1- or 2-star hotels which provide excellent services. They provide excellent services. Okay, so let's not be too fixated with the 3, 4, 5-star hotels, which have had quite a higher burden on our pockets.
Great.
There are also other hotels you can also meet the same services at cheaper rates.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr. And we all wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. That's it for Business Live for tonight. I am Pious Kojo Backah. Let's connect same time next week. See you. Bye-bye.